Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's BESSIE ROBELYN here. So I know the video title is really intriguing, but what I really mean by this title is I'm going to show you all the strength when you came from a toxic environment, when you have been abused as a child, because most of the people, they will be like, toxic parent is bad. And I'm 100% right about this because no one deserves to go through violence. No one deserves to be treated as an animal. No one deserves for not being loved. We cannot change the past. What is the best thing to do? To work on anew and to accept that you have a lot of strength and that you can go really far in the future, because these videos are going to show you how you can go really far on your life because of these type of people and because of how much abuse that you have to go through. So one of the most important thing that I can say about when you have been abused as a child is you have faced hardship. You have been facing hardships since that you were young, because a lot of people would be like, life is hard, life is really hard and you gotta hold tight. But we came from a toxic environment. We have been abused. Our toxic parents has made our life really harder. And life is already hard, guys, but they have made it even more harder for us when we were young. But if we think positively about this, we have been through so many hardships that now we can take this and we can adapt really easily, which is really good, because in the future, no matter how hard the situation is going to be, you are going to adapt. But the good thing about this one, and since you have been adapting really easily to so many situations, in the future you are going to adapt for the situation and do the better to escape from this bad situation. Because for you, you'll be like, this situation wasn't even really that bad because of what I had in the past, because what I had in the past was really worse. So what I mean is we have been through so much. We have been through so much that nowadays what we have is really hard. But what I mean is it depends on what you have, what you are feeling right now, what you have been through right now. But even though that I changed a country, that I have changed so many places, that I haven't been living with my parents for 1 year now, and I have been changing places for 3 times, I can really say that what I had before was worse than I have now, because I can still do what I want. I can still work on so many things, and I'm not really stuck somewhere. I'm not really stuck somewhere. And I guess when you do not live with your parents anymore and you're handling hard situations, you still got this thing saying yeah, but since now I'm an adult, I'm not living with them, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this without being limited by someone, which is something really good. And especially you shouldn't forget that when you go through really hard situations, it's going to build your character, it's going to build your persona. And basically, when you had all of these things when you were young, it has already built so many things about your life. You have already knew so many things about your life, because sometimes you'll be like, no, I don't really know myself. But you know that you're capable, that if you have this in the past and it was really worse, but now you know okay, I have been doing this, I know how hard it was, but no matter what I was doing, I was always successful. You take this as an example and you're also going to be proud of yourself because of this, and for how much you have built yourself. And even though you were a child, in the future you're going to do even better, because you know, first of all, how to handle the situation. You know, okay, if I have this problem, I gotta go and do this. Because there's a lot of people, when they come from normal families, and when they leave and they start a new life, it's really hard for them, because they have never really faced hard situations, unless if they came from a poor family and they had to do so many things. And this, again, it's another thing. But since you have known your strength and you have been really working about yourself, and you're not never accepting what is happening to you, because you know that what you have done, you've done it for your own good, because you know what it feels like to be miserable. And people who tend to be miserable, or people who never got in so many things and all of that, when they leave and they go working in so many different places. They leave their parents, or like they leave their toxic relationship people, or they just like, you leave your toxic friends. Your life starts to go like this because you know what you want. And because you have been through so many hardships and so many bad things, and just because your parents, they have been doing so many bad things about yourself and that you have been abused, you tend to be more knowledgeable. And you'll be like, Bessie, how do you want me to be more knowledgeable if I came from a toxic family? Your parents, they gave you so much responsibility. And when I mean like so much responsibility, they gave you so much responsibility that normal parents would never give to their children. Like talking about trauma, talking about their romantic stuff. They're going to tell you like, you gotta fill up paper, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. You have so much responsibility that a normal child is not going to do. But because you're toxic parents, they think, no, it's normal, you're normal. You tend to have like more knowledge, you tend to have more baggage. In French we say, tu as plus de bagages. Because you tend to know more about many things. You're like, okay, I know how to fill up papers, I know how to handle this situation, I know what to do, I know how to listen to people, I know how to help people. You learn how to cook really young, you know, like how to clean, how to do this, because your parents, they never really treated you as a child. They always like, oh, you're a child, you're my child, you are going to do things as I am doing, because you are not going to stay like this. People, they have to do this, and especially like they will be using this thing, saying, no, but have you seen this child? Have you seen this child is filling out paper? It's just, let me tell you, it's not because someone's parents, someone's child is doing this that it's normal. You should always acknowledge that it's not because they have been doing this that it's normal. I understand being parents is really hard, but like, parents are trying so much so you can have a better life. But toxic parents, they just like don't even know how to do it because their parents, they have been doing it in the past. And you tend to recognize people's behavior. And you'll be like also, how do you want me to recognize people's behavior? You know who's toxic or not, because the fact they were like, okay, this person is doing this because this happened in the past and I recognize this person's behavior and it's not normal. I know like it's going to be really hard because there is people who have been growing up and they have been abused since they were a child, but they always thought that it's normal and that in every family they're getting abused. You will have some countries where people, they will be like, oh my god, that's not normal, and I know that it's not normal, but you will have all the countries where abuse is completely normalized and they will think that it's normal, that it's something that is happening in the society, which is really normal. But just to be honest with you guys, it's not normal. No one deserves to abuse children. Children are treasures. Children are joy. Children are the most amazing thing that we have in life. So please protect them. So since you can handle situations really hard, you have one good thing is like you learn how to adapt and especially how to act quickly, because when you have a problem, you have an idea, you'll be like, oh, you know, this happened, even though like it didn't really happen, you know. But like the good thing is like you're going to handle situationship really easily, which is something really good. And let's say that you want to start working and all of that, you can use this on your CV and you can use this as an interview for your interviews, because not a lot of people know how to quickly act on things. You'll be like, oh my god, I have a problem, okay, you know, I will like do this, and then like it will go away. And especially like I really want to talk about something else, is like emotional intelligence, because as I was saying before as well, you can literally like seeing people and you'll be like, this person has something awkward and I should like really stay away, because sometimes people who come from like toxic people who have been abused since they were a child, they feel something, they know something is not normal, and they feel it that someone has something awkward. There is something that makes them kind of like, this person has something weird, you know. And I guess a lot of people might think that I'm crazy, but you should always follow your intuition, because when you feel something is not good, it's because something, guys, it's not normal and something is going to happen. And I tend to say this is like a message from God. You get something from God saying you gotta stay away from this person because this person has something that it's not good, and if you stay with these people, they're going to make your life really, really bad. And you know, when people have been abused, they do not want to have the same life anymore. They do not want to live as they were using to live when they were abused, when they were children. And this is something completely normal because even when people they break up, they do not want to have the same life that they used to do when they were like living with their toxic partner or just like their partner. Like it doesn't really need to be toxic, like you have to change, you know? And because of that, there is a good thing is like you are going to break the curse. You are going to break the curse. I mean, like generational trauma. You're going to break the generational trauma. You're not going to accept anything that your toxic parents have been using for you. And you're going to be like, so since they have been doing this to me, now it's time for me to change everything so I can give a better education, that my children they will be happier, that I can also have a good relationship with my children. Because I guess like most of you guys, no matter how much therapy you have done, no matter how much you have done, toxic parents, they rarely change, and the relationships with them are not always easy because you can even like go and move in another continent. Yeah, the relationship is going to get better. You're just not going to have the trust because when you have trusted your parents once, they disappointed you, and no matter like even if something is hard, they're not really going to help you and they're like going to blame you, or like even worse, they are going to abuse you even though you live in another continent or like another city, or just like you don't live with them. And especially like you don't really want to finish how they used to be. You don't want to be like them. Why? I do also have the same feeling, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm starting like acting like my dad or my mom. I don't like it. Like I gotta do things differently than them. And I think it's like a sort of trauma, but like if we take things positively, it's like you are willing to change. You are willing to change, and a lot of people are not willing to change. When you want to change, no matter how hard it's going to be, you are going to change, because when you have been abused, you don't want this anymore. You don't want to be this type of person anymore. You don't want to be a victim anymore. And why people they want to change so much? Because they don't like feeling like victim. Because even when you talk with people, you're still like, oh my god, yeah, but I can't do this, I can't do this. And you're like, always feel like victim. Oh no, I can do this. My parents, they will kill me, they will do this. And you just like, you don't really accept being a victim anymore. And what I mean when you do not want to have this type of life anymore is because you also know what you want. There's a lot of people who do not know what they want. And when you're like, okay, I came from this house, I just like don't want this anymore. I want like in the future, I want this. And no matter like how young or like how old you are, people are always like growing up, they're like always changing. Maybe something would happen and they will like change them. Like something in the future might happen and it can be good or worse, is going to change them forever. Because of what you have been through since you were a child, you're like, I don't want to have this anymore in my life. And some people, they can also like take this as a job. There is people who know what they want to become mostly when they come from like toxic family, because you're like, you know, since I've been through this, I want to be a therapist, I want to be a singer. And they tend to be more creative. You tend to understand people more deeply because you have been through so many things. Because when people haven't been through so many things, they are not going to understand these things. And let's talk about like, you handle situations really easy, because abused children are the best liars. The abused children are the best for faking their emotions. Abused children are the best analyzing people. And when I mean by analyzing people, so they know which person is good and which person is bad. So when they know which person is bad, they're going to be like, this person is dangerous and this person gotta be away from me because I already have been through so many trauma. I don't want this anymore. Abused children are the best into analyzing sounds and all of that, because you're like, this person is going to come next to my room and I gotta do what they really wanted to do, and I'm going to hide what I'm doing. Abused children are the best doing things privately without their parent knowing. And if they discover you're really good at lying, that they would believe the lying things. Abused children are the best in terms of running away, because when they run away, they know where they go. And especially guys, I have made 2 videos on how to run away from toxic parents. One for people who are less than 18 years old, and I have also like one for people who are over 18 years old. And so like, they will, and just like watch them. I have put all of the links that you need, all of the numbers that you need to contact of what I found and like what I also like done. I think like in the future I might like give you my history of how I run away, how I made things and all of that. Like I really care for you guys, and you really need to have a better life, and especially to be safe, because I know how hard is it. So like, why they are the best in doing these things? Because of trauma. Because you have been abused so much that like your body is literally like lying without even realizing it, and it's like lying because you are scared of being abused. You are scared that this person is going to do something really bad, and you're scared that they're going to treat you really really bad, because there is like some families, guys, they abuse their children in a certain really horrific way, and there is like people, they think like they're just like laughing and inventing stories. No, there is people, they have been through like so much, and like just lying, doing these things, and they'll be like, oh no, like there is children who tend to run away from their parents, and I never understand. Guys, you don't know how bad sometimes the situation can be, you know, you don't know how violent, and there is like people even risking their life in their family house. There is families who close there's children's room and they're not allowed to go out, or like they beat them with like certain object. Like guys, if you can't understand something, don't judge people. If you can't understand people's trauma, don't judge them, because there is people who come from really really heavy, like really 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 abusive family. So just don't judge anyone, because you don't know what is happening in their houses. As I was like saying, that abused children, they always like want to change their future. And so since I was like talking about the abused children, they are always thinking about like their futures, because they do not want to live the same life as they used to. They have fear of failure. You have this fear saying like, oh my god, I'm going to be like my parents. I do not want to be like my parents, which is like something really really understandable. You don't want to have, maybe you came from a poor family and you don't want to have this poor lifestyle. You cannot even stand it, and you're like going to work as a crazy person, because I'm someone who works like crazy. I work like crazy, and there is like people who works even more than me, and they have this fear, like, oh my god, I don't want to have this life. I don't want to be poor, because of them they're going to judge me. Because you also have this fear of judgment. You're like, these people, I run away from them. I do not want to be like them. And you're like working as crazy person. And that's why like most of the successful people, they come from like abused family, or they have been abused by their partner, because they literally have made a promise to themselves, saying, I don't want this anymore, and I want to go really really high in the future. I don't want this anymore, and I am not accepting to have this life anymore, and I'm going to work like a crazy person. And these people, unfortunately, they do have like this fear of failure, that like they would work more and more and more, that most of them in the future would have burnout. How toxic parents gives abused children power. I do have talked so many things, but now I'm going to give you like the whole response, and I guess like you have been waiting like for this response. I have the first thing is like, they are always going to make us really really responsible, and they think that we should act like adults, and we literally go from child to adult. There is no time to be teenager. And no matter like how much you have worked, that your expectations are really, really, really high. And because of that, your parents, they told you like what you have done is never enough. And so like, even if your expectations are like this, and like in normal people are like this, for your parents, this is not enough. This is not enough. So like, you're even aiming even more higher, you know? And because you are like aiming even more higher, and you're like already have been doing higher than other people, but like for your parents it's never enough, like it's never enough, you are going to be, first of all, we will consider you like someone who have more abilities than other people. You are always going to be this type of person who is going to be selected. And let's say like you have dreams, you want to achieve things in life, you have so much high expectations, and you tend to be like even more hardworking than normal people because you have been through hardships. For you, working like crazy and doing things, it's going to be really normal. Me, when I'm working about things, I'm like, no, it's not good, no, it's not good. And you're like even doing, like just to, so it's going to be better. This is like already a thing that gives you power. And also like, you have this thing as well, is like, you have been like abused like crazy, like you don't even accept this, and you're like, I'm going to work in this because I can't stand this. And at the same time, since you are really, really good in adapting really, really hard situations, extreme situations, there is people who are abused and they're like thrown away from their house, and they are not even allowed to go in people's house, to their parents' house anymore. They find other ways to do things, and they have succeeded. And for them, they'll be like, living in the street was really bad, but like now I know that I have something in me. And guys, if you are abused, you have something, is like you have more power than other people, and you gotta take like this more power that you have to go even more higher in life. And since like you have been like so much struggle, that you make so much progress, because progress doesn't come like this the first day and the day after is like this. No, it's not possible. But when you go through extreme things, you have to go, you gotta like work, and you're always progressing. And especially like, one thing that I would love to say is, when people, they run away from their parents, most of the time they succeed, they have a glow up, they start like appreciate life, because you know what is bad and what it's not good. You have been to so many bad things that you're going to appreciate more things that people are depressed of. But like, still, I'm not going to talk about depression, because it's not the same. People who came from toxic family, they do not have the same depression as people who came from a normal family, which is completely normal. And because of that, you're going to be really, really successful. And so like, I really want to thank you so much. If you like this video, I would love to tell you to follow me if you come from a toxic environment. And especially like, I will be making like more videos on how to be better on yourself when you came from a toxic family, because I have seen like no one is really doing this. So I'm putting effort for this. And yeah, this was Bessie ROBELYN. Mwah.